One of the challenges we've got is in regulated industries. So if it's like life sciences, healthcare, or FSI, and on the one hand, they all want that speed to market. They want the dynamic delivery, but with regulatory and things like that, they've got just really big challenges around how everybody gets comfortable with that. Well, one, with that speed of delivery, but also effectively modular content. I mean, you are building content on the fly. And so what they have to approve now is not the finished piece. They have to approve the logic that drives the
Right.
finished piece.
That's right.
Like, and for us, that's kind of an interesting but challenging process piece. Like, what's your take on, like, would you try to apply the tech to those kinds of situations?
Yeah, and we've done some work in CPG and FMCG to
Right.
where, like, an ingredient changes,
Right.
right? We can no longer get this nut, or can no longer get this color, or the Canadian government has said you can't use this dye,
Right.
right? And now suddenly all of your packaging has to change,
Yeah.
right?
Right, right.
And so some of these big brands that, like a Kraft Heinz or any of these really big brands, that costs money, right? Like significant amount of money to change and reprint and do all those things. And so where we see it as is make all those things dynamic, right? So where a regulation changes, that regulation is mathematics, right? It's often that, right? Like your logo has to be 50% of the claim, and
Right,
all of that
exactly
stuff.
right,
And especially in healthcare too, there's like certain regulations that have to come in. The CDC makes a change, or the FDA makes a change, or whatever.
Right.
And so if that stuff can become code, right? And the code is now filtering and running in as a data feed into your product, right?
right,
Now your
right.
art is driven off of the data.
Right.
Versus a CMS to where somebody's going in there and hand changing all of these things.
Exactly. And you're making me think too that that's another big driver for modular content. I mean, everybody's going after modular content, but I always like, throw out the notion of granularity or parity, because if your content isn't at a level of parity in which you can apply those rules, you're kind of stuck.